Welcome to Interesting Enough. He is Trey. I am Nolan. Thank you guys so much for joining us once again. This is your first time listening to the podcast. Thank you so much. Obviously, we're on Apple, we're on Spotify, all the good stuff. We got the finals finishing up here. Trey, man, what's going on? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I suspect I'm feeling a little bit better than you are, obviously, as a resident Miami Heat fan.
Yeah, man. Okay, so we're recording this on Sunday. It's been a rough weekend because obviously we had the Panthers, the hockey team.
Oh, yeah. And
the Heat, and now both teams are down 3-1. I was watching the Panthers last night. They lost the game 3-2 at the end. And it's what's killing me about it, Trey. It's kind of like it's not similar, but not so similar because the series are the same. But the Panthers, our best player, the one who got us here, he's actually hurt. So he got hurt the last game 4, and then game 5, he's in the game, but he's like struggling. So he's like, he didn't even play like basically the second like half of the game, and they basically were just saving him for the very end of the game to try to make a push to like score one more to tie it. So it's like it sucks because it's like the guy that got us here. It's almost like if you lost Jimmy Butler, you know what I'm saying? It's like the guy that got us here is like even if we might lose a series, like I kind of wanted our guy to at least be 100% and then get like a real shot. So that's why it's kind of like disappointed. And then the same thing for the Heat. Disappointed in a different way because I don't think Jimmy Butler's 100% and some things that's going on in the series. But yeah, man, it hasn't been great. But listen, we're going to get into the series and all of that and talk about what the Heat have got going on. We'll get into some other basketball topics. But first thing we got to talk about, I know you got something to talk about with some Pete Davidson highlights, Trey, but I was just thinking about something that we talked about earlier. What's going on with Paul Pierce? Let's go. Because I saw the clip before we hopped on the podcast. I finally saw the full video. And for those who haven't seen it, honestly, I just suggest you to go see it. It isn't anything super vulgar. Paul Pierce looks a little inebriated. That's probably the best way I could put it. He's live streaming with KG, watching the finals game, and he was talking about, essentially, he has a girl there that, he may or may not have went on a website and had a girlfriend for a day. I mean, we've seen Paul Pierce multiple times with these type of occurrences. Like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on.
I mean, I think he's just showing you his true self. And I think he did a good job of kind of hiding his true self, to say the least, while he was in the league.
He probably didn't have liquor on set. So it seems like that's part of the problem, what it's stemming from. But yeah.
Yeah, and think about it too. Like, if you're rich, you're still relatively young in the grand scheme of things, in his early 40s, with a whole bunch of money. Yeah, you're probably like, if you don't have to work, you're probably going to get drunk a little bit and maybe get a little bit faded and not make the best life choices and that kind of thing. That's where he's at right now. I think he just needs to find something to replace basketball.
And to be honest with you, I wouldn't even say that he's doing that poorly because it seems like he's doing fine. He's doing the show with KG. I'm sure you've seen the clips of it. So, like, it looks like he's doing something pretty regularly. Like, the show seems fine. Like, it's not like he's, like, drunk on the set all the time or anything like that. I mean, the show seems fine. It's just, like, I just think it's, like, funny moments more than anything. And I think Paul Pierce is the perfect, like, case study for this era that this is a great era. Like, we're on a podcast right now. It's like free form. We can talk about whatever you want. You could curse, not curse, do whatever. Paul Pierce just doesn't need to be on like nationally syndicated shows on TV with FCC Airways.
But he's not. He's on Showtime though. So like, hey, who cares?
No, that's my point. That's what I'm saying. So like, I think unfortunately the way he got out of ESPN wasn't a great look, but he got out at the right time because it was probably going to be something that was going to come up anyway. So, but for our entertainment, it's funny and stuff like that. But yeah, he was definitely turned up. That's a good word. It's a good phrase to maybe put it. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with Paul Pierce. But let's talk about the Pete Davidson clip that I sent to you, man. What's going on with that?
So the Pete Davidson clip is just Pete Davidson. It's been going around of him playing basketball. I believe it was at UCLA, one of the California.
I think it was UNLV. I think it looked like
UNLV. Okay, that's what it was. And I will admit, I'm not saying that he's a good basketball player. It's only like a 50 second.
You were
clip.
surprised.
Yeah, but I was surprised by how well he was playing. Like I didn't really expect anything out of him. Like I didn't expect him to be able to dribble the ball or even be able to put up a shot that hits the rim.
Why not? Why didn't you expect anything?
He just doesn't strike me as a type.
Based off what?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Just a gut feeling. Hey, I will say this though. Side note: when Pete Davidson first came out, I thought he was mixed.
What?
No, I swear to God, I wasn't the only one because I remember people were saying this on the Breakfast Club because I remember he had an interview when he first really started to pop off about 5 or 6 years ago in the Breakfast Club, and one of the first questions they asked him was, "Are you black?" So I wasn't the only one. Like he kind of had like he just looked kind of mixed. I'm like, yeah, he might have a hint or something.
I never really thought that. I'm
Now
thinking about
I
how
can't
he
see
looks
it, but
now.
back then I could.
I'm Googling how he looks now, but go ahead. I mean, I just don't. I don't know. I don't know. He doesn't look mixed to me. Like I get maybe because I know that he's not. He looks like some other things, but he's definitely not mixed. That's not the word that comes to my mind.
Yeah, I know because you said he looks like some other things, but you don't. You know, what I mean, you can go into the detail what he looks like if you want to.
No, he just looks like a funny guy. That's all. I mean, he just looks like a funny guy. I mean, he is a funny guy. He's a comedian. So I mean, there's that. But no, I mean,
I feel
right.
like you said something else, but okay. Anyway, he was playing basketball like really at a decently high level. Like I was just kind of surprised by that, and it just got me to thinking like, if you had to pick one celebrity, they could be dead or alive. It really doesn't matter who you could hoop with. Who would it be?
Okay, so am I picking that I just want to hoop with them, or like them on my team because they're good, or just like somebody that would be like fun to just be around?
So it could be either or. Like you just have to just explain why you would pick this person.
Okay, so I'll go off of because like we didn't prepare for this too much, but I'm just off the top of my head, I'll probably go with people that I have seen that I think are pretty good. Mm-hmm. And so I mean, like I'll go like J. Cole. Like that'd probably be somebody that he's obviously hooping with NBA guys in the off season. So he'd be like, it's somebody I'd play with in a pickup run that like he'd be good. Lil Durk looks like he could play. Like we've seen his jump shot. That looks good. So those are probably two people that comes to mind. Chris Brown's another one that seems like he can hoop. But definitely the first two, like I think Lil Durk and Cole would be. You know what I think? I think if you hoop with the reason I probably want to hoop with Cole, outside of him being my favorite rapper, so I'm biased, is if we play in pickup, like I feel like Cole would like actually want to win. Like I feel like he'd actually be trying. Like sometimes when I play pickup, like a part of it is like I'm not saying like you got to be diving on the asphalt like it's Game 7 of the finals, but like I also don't want to be out there like just not caring and just because we all play pickup. You got the guys that's like trying way too hard, and then you got the guys not trying at all and just shooting any type of shot. Like I kind of want somewhere in the middle, like shoot your shots, but like I still kind of want to win the game. Like that's where I'm at. So I feel like Cole would actually try. So I'm gonna go Cole because I think he would actually be try, and I think he'd actually like have a high skill level since he's played like some level of like real organized basketball. But what about you?
Okay, no. I really do like your picks. I would agree. Cole does look pretty cool to hoop with. It wouldn't be my top pick, but I think like because he can play, I guess at a high level, just compared to the average citizen, I think he would be a cool person to hoop with. If I had to pick one person, though, I think I would try somebody that I like don't know much about hooping, but that I do like. So it would be somebody like Wale. Like I'm like, can you hoop? Like you kind of had to look. I hate to say it like that, but you had to look that you can hoop. I don't know anything about you.
Oh my God, Wale! Yeah, you can hoop with Wale. He's gonna complain about how he's being underrated in basketball too, like he is in the rap. And like, come on now, you just throwing me alive at this point. Like you already know how Wale get. He gonna feel like he being. Oh, imagine the first possession of Wale, he comes up the court. The defense backs him out. He's like, "Oh, y'all gonna leave me open? Y'all gonna leave me open? Y'all don't think I can shoot? Y'all think I can shoot, huh? If I was light skinned, I can shoot, huh? Y'all think I was Curry if I can shoot? Come on, man."
Hey, but be honest though, you would have fun. Like you would just be like, "Hey, I'm just here for the show. Like I just want to see what's going on."
No, I don't think it'll be fun hooping with Wale. Like I just don't think it'll be fun. Like I feel like I don't know. I've never, obviously hooped with him. I don't even know if he can hoop, but it doesn't seem like it'll be fun to me. Heck, I'd rather hoop with Prince. And I mean, rest in peace. Like I'm saying, if he was alive, I heard Prince can hoop. I'd rather hoop with Prince, and Prince seems like he'd be pretty eccentric if I just.
So, do you believe he could hoop? Because I think people were just saying that. Like, I don't know if I believe it. I don't know.
There's some verified articles with some celebrities talking about he could hoop. So, like, I'm not saying to the level. I don't know, but like, there's pictures and stuff of him hooping. They said he had a hoop in his house in Minnesota and all that type of stuff. So, like, for Prince that has all that type of money and has probably a million obligations for him to have a basketball court is probably like something that surprises a lot of people. So that means he liked basketball enough that he wanted it to be pretty much readily available to him. So like, I'd probably pick Prince, and also I'm gonna pick Prince just to see what it is, like see what the talk is about with him hooping. And it probably, if you want to talk about interesting conversation, it can't get more interesting than talking to Prince.
Honestly, that might be like you. I think you kind of got me moving to your side. Like I would try Prince just to see. Like I don't have any high expectations. I don't think he can hoop at all. But like, hey, prove me wrong. And then, like you said, the interesting conversations. I actually think I will go with Prince. Like I think you changed my mind.
Yeah, and if we're talking about hooping with a celebrity, like you said, it's an element of like, I kind of want to be around this person and be cool. Like when you were like the first name that I thought of when you said the hoop, and I answered the own question. I said no was Drake, and the reason I would say no to Drake is as cool as it would be to meet Drake, I probably wouldn't want to meet him in a basketball court setting because like I just feel like, I don't know how to say this the right way, but I feel like Drake would just be like hooping for like the attention. Like it just feels like I don't know. Like when I see the clips of him, like maybe it's the fans that overblow it. Like when I see him playing basketball, I'm like, it's not anything like crazy impressive, but like, are we just like super impressed when it's Drake just because it's Drake? Like it's kind of like stuff like that. Like I don't know.
I think a little bit of it is that I think it's just kind of like when you see the white guy dunk. It's like, okay, the white guy's like 6'6".
Well,
but I mean,
like the white guy in regular pickup,
like,
you mean? You talking just like a white guy in regular pickup?
Yeah.
I guess so. I mean,
and I hate to say it, but we do it. Like if you see a white guy dunk, it's like, oh my God.
It depends. I mean, if you talking about a white guy with like bounce, like he's got to be like 5'10" or something, like dunking. Yeah, I mean, if he's like 6'5", like all right, well, whatever. But yeah, I mean, if it's below a certain height, I feel like unfortunately I'd probably be more surprised. Yeah, it's just like a bias, but I hate that I have that. But yeah, I mean, I'm being honest. So
I know I'm gonna be surprised. I'm like, ooh.
Yes. Oh no, but yeah, no, that's interesting though. I mean, kind of want to throw that out to people too, like what celebrity would you want to hoop with, and it could be based on different reasons. But anyway, man, let's get into the finals. We've been delaying it. We got to talk about it. Nuggets are up 3-1. The Heat look like they're on their last leg. I don't think they're down, but they're not out, Trey. They got to go to Game 5. It's in Denver with the altitude. It's pretty much as daunting of a task as you can get. I wanted to just ask, as far as from the Heat perspective, like, well, I got a couple questions, but the first thing I'll throw to you is what can they realistically do to extend this series? Like, what do you have to see in Game 5 that can just extend the series by one game? Like, obviously, at this point, you got to take it one game at a time, but like, what do you have to see? If I'm a Heat fan, what do I need to look for?
I hate to keep it so plain and simple, and just because it doesn't really sound like in-depth basketball knowledge, but sometimes I think the best answers are the most simple answers. Mm-hmm. And that's just that Jamie Butler has to turn back the clock once again. And like you said, to open up the podcast, I really don't know if he can because of his injury, the ankle injury. Plus, I think he's just been kind of worn down from this whole playoff run in general. But if they want to extend the game, like they've already thrown out the zone defense. They've already put all shooters on the floor. They've already thrown out heavy Kevin Love minutes. Like, I just don't think there's much else they can do in the X's and O's other than have better games from the players on the court. And that main player being their best player, Jimmy Butler, the leader of the team. I think he has to have another game like he had in the Milwaukee series. Not necessarily where he goes for 56, but where he looks like the unquestioned best player on the court and is able to control every aspect of the game. I think they just have to have him have one of those games.
Okay, so I don't disagree with you. I think you're talking about plain Jane answers. I think my answer would probably be even more plain Jane. The Heat just got to make shots. Like that. That's what it comes. No, because at the end of the day, we already knew Denver scores on everyone. It's not just the Heat. They scored on LeBron with Anthony Davis, right? Like they scored on Rudy Gobert. Like whoever they're going to score. That Jokic Murray two-man game is tough. I think the Heat can do a couple things to make it more difficult. In particular, if you saw the fourth quarter of that game, when they started putting the pressure and like increasing that ball pressure and making every pass hard and extending that, I think that's a help because it just winds down the shot clock, wears guys out, and I think that's a key. I think they can also do a little bit more of making Jokic a scorer, which we've talked about. But it all comes down to making shots. The Heat were shooting like 39% in the first half of the game. In the game, I don't remember what they finished with the whole game, but you can't beat the Denver Nuggets scoring 93, 94, 95 points, Trey. Like it's just not going to do it. Like you're going to have to score in the 110 range to like have a realistic shot because they're going to score enough, right? That's going to like make it too hard to come back. Especially, you know what Jokic and Murray are going to do, but then when you get games from Aaron Gordon and Brown and, or both Browns, I should say, it's going to be tough. So in particular, Jimmy Butler is going to still keep creating. I think Bam's had a pretty good series, but you're going to need the Kyle Lowry games. You're going to need the Gabe Vincents, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson. Like, you don't need all 4 of those guys, but you're going to need like probably 2 or 3 of the 4, like, to have really good games. And if I'm the Heat, a couple of adjustments I'm looking at, Trey, and I'll just throw it to you to see how you feel about this in X's and O's wise. I think the Heat have shown the most energy, and it may be a game-to-game thing, but the most energy on the floor is when I see Duncan Robinson on the floor with Kyle Lowry and then like everyone else. Because it seems like when Kyle Lowry's in the game, as much as we've complained about him being old, he's pushing the pace. He's making stuff happen. He's either creating a shot for somebody else, creating a shot for himself. And then, of course, he's doing the Kyle Lowry stuff on the other end, like getting guys into foul trouble, like he's doing the little veteran stuff. And then Duncan Robinson, Max Strus ain't hitting shots. Duncan Robinson is, Trey, he's playing with full-on confidence. It ain't even like he just catches shooting. He's going off the dribble, making layups, throwing lobs. I'm like, I'm gonna need those 2 guys in the game. Even if they don't start them, you might have to get them in the game early, because those are 2 guys I'm looking at as a team that looks flatlined energy wise. Sometimes those 2 guys are coming in the game, and like when we're making runs, it seems like those guys are in the game. What do you think about that?
No, I totally agree with you, and I'm happy you brought up that point. Just because I've been kind of surprised by Eric Spoelstra's reluctance to kind of play Duncan Robinson more minutes, or if he even start him. And, I have to give Spoelstra credit. I think he's one of the best coaches in the NBA. Might be the best. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to argue that. So obviously he knows more about the game of basketball than I ever will. But I think he just has this kind of heavy reliance on Max Strus this series. And I guess he's just kind of a rock with the guys that brought you here. But it's kind of like, hey, if Max Strus, if he isn't hitting shots, he's not really doing much else for you. You know what I mean? He's not like he's a defensive juggernaut. I know he can, like, he's not going to get killed in defense, but it's not like he's locking people up either. So it's like you got a guy in Duncan Robinson who's at least hitting shots. I know he has his defensive liabilities, but he is stretching the floor. He has a large center of gravity when he's on the floor, just because of how efficient he is at shooting a 3-point shot. I think you kind of have to put him out there. And he's been playing off the ball well as well, been cutting to the baskets, even been getting a couple of assists. So I just think on the offensive end, that's a player that you want out there more. And then at the same point that you put out there with Kyle Lowry, one thing about Kyle Lowry, and I'm not going to say this has happened to any of the Heat players, but we just know for a fact that it's not going to happen to Kyle Lowry, is he's not going to get caught up in a moment. He's not going to be the pressure's not going to be too high. He's been here before. He's won before. He's played in the biggest stage as a key player, contributor numerous times. So the moment's not too big for him. And like you said, he's going to flop a little bit, but he's going to get the other team in foul trouble. Yeah. He's going to be like a menace on the defensive end. Even though he's lost a little bit of his step in a later age, he's still going to be something to deal with. And then on the offensive end, he's kind of just one of those players, like he's not going to score 20 every night, but he is going to keep the ball moving and take the right shots and make timely baskets. So he is going to kind of propel the offense at a higher level than maybe a Max Strus who's not hitting shots, or Gabe Vincent can on certain nights.
Yeah, and I think with the Max Strus point, he's a lot better defender than Duncan Robinson, so there's one point of it. But the second thing is, I don't think, anybody can anticipate, and that's including Coach Spo, that though Duncan Robinson was hitting shots, he was playing pretty good defense on the other end late in that game, in Game 4, which is not a thing that you can anticipate happening until it just literally happens. I don't even know if that can continue. I don't even know if Game 5 he can play that good of defense, but if because he was playing just as good defense as Max Strus, at that point you're all right, leave him out here. But I don't think that's something you can game plan for. You didn't even know that was going to happen. And then of course he did have a defensive lapse and get a foul. So he's going to have that type of stuff. So I get your point. I think that's something that they're probably going to look for, going forward to Game 5. But I wanted to swing into this overall, just in the larger point of the finals. If the Heat lose the finals, right? And to be fair, everybody listen to this, I'm not really talking too much about the Nuggets element yet, just in case if they win the finals, there's a lot to go over legacy-wise, so we'll kind of get to that. But for the Heat, and I'm a Heat fan, so just get over it. So, and for the Heat, if they do lose the finals, are they off the hook here? Because obviously they've done something historic, but then 8 seed getting all the way here, upsetting teams on the way. But it feels like a little bit left on the bone for me as a fan. But just swinging it to you, Trey, that's not a fan of the team, just as a outsider looking in. I mean, how do you look at the season? I mean, obviously it's like, yeah, it's successful. You're an 8 seed, but like, do you feel like you can let one slip away, considering, we got a core of guys that's getting older and stuff like that too?
I definitely feel like you're in one way you're happy with the results because again, you're about 5 minutes from losing the Chicago Bulls and not even making the playoffs. This was in the playing game, so I think that you're definitely happy with how the season panned out. But you do feel like you left some meat on the bone, to say the least, just because you perform. You might have overperformed against Milwaukee and against Boston. And then it just seems when you met up against Denver, even though I believe Denver is the better team, that's why I picked them in this series. It just seems like you underperformed. It wasn't necessarily a sense that, oh, Denver, they shot the lights out and they just played so much better as it was as we just underperformed as some of our players didn't show up as we could have expected. Namely Jimmy Butler and Max Strus. They just didn't perform at the level that we expected them to perform. And that's unfortunate. And even if they did perform at their normal level, that's not guaranteeing a win, but that is guaranteeing a better opportunity, a better chance to win. And that just didn't happen. So I think you are disappointed in that light.
But I mean, here's the thing with the Jimmy Butler stuff, because I hear everyone talking about this. I don't think he's not underperforming. So like, that's the thing that's like, it's very confusing to me. Like everyone's like, oh, he's
not on that playoff Jimmy level. Like when we were calling him Hemi Butler. Like he's not on that level at least.
Well, I mean, he's still putting up 25 or so points a game. Like he's getting rebounds, assists. But I mean, he hasn't really had a game like that since the first round, especially considering after he rolled his ankle. So, I don't think that was really expected. I think the main thing is the Nuggets weren't going to let that happen anyway. Like every time he's driving to the basket, they're helping and stuff. And I just think it looks different because the guys that were hitting shots are just not hitting shots. So like, I think it's more of an indictment on those guys. Now, does Jimmy Butler need to have one of those performances if we're ever going to win this series? Probably, right? Like you're right. Like he probably has to go into the vault and like get us a 40-point game. But again, if Jimmy Butler's scoring 40 points and other guys still aren't hitting shots, we're still probably gonna lose. So like that's the way I look at it too. Like it helps if other guys are hitting shots, because at the end of the day, when Jimmy Butler scored 56 points against the Bucks, you know who hit the dagger three to basically propel us to win the game? It was Caleb Martin over the Greek Freak, right? You had other guys hitting shots. So like, to me, it's probably both, but it's really hard to give that guy too much of the blame, considering, like you said, the juggernaut of the Nuggets team. I mean, they're just, being outmatched talent-wise. And we discussed this a little bit. Man, this would have been a series that I would have loved to see Tyler Hero playing in. You know what I mean? When the Heat are struggling to score to score 100 points in a series, you really could use a guy that could really, because there's 5 or 6 minute stretches in the game where the Heat struggle to get a bucket, and it'd really be nice to have a guy like Hero that can just go get his own shot, or have another guy like Oladipo who used to always be able to get his own shot, at least drive by his man and attack the paint. So I think it really stinks, and it's hard to use that too much of an excuse because you got there without it. But sometimes, guys run out of gas, and it seems like Hero can't really play anymore. That they don't really bring that up too much because his hand was swelling. So, it kind of is what it is. But it kind of gives me, you remember those early 2000s like Nets vibes, Trey? Like those Jason Kidd Nets that went to the finals back-to-back years.
Yes.
It kind of feels like those were like they were excellent teams. But both of the years they went to the finals, I mean, they played the Lakers stuff. Like nobody expected them to really win that series. However, they get a lot of credit for getting that far, but at a certain point the team's going to dismantle, and that's kind of how I feel about the Heat too. And of course, we hear the Dame whispers and stuff like that too. So, who knows who would have to go if they make some type of move like that. But yeah, I mean, but we'll see how the finals kind of goes, going forward. Obviously we got Game 5 on Monday in Denver. It could be the end. It could not be. So we got a lot to touch on like that, but a couple other NBA things, Trey, that we've kind of seen surface. We'll talk about Ja. Not Ja. We'll talk about Zion. Everyone's, if you got on social media, what's going on with Zion. He's obviously announced he's having a baby with a woman. Then we obviously see another woman going on a Twitter rant. You can kind of read up for that for yourselves. Trey, you have been one of the biggest Zion critics that I know. Okay, not saying that you hate him or anything like that. I know you think he's a great player. What's your full reaction to this? Because first of all, you was the same guy before all this. You considering trading this guy before that because
but that was injury related. Yeah.
No, yeah. To be fair, it's for the injuries and stuff like that. Does this change anything for you? Like, what's your outlook?
No.
Okay.
No, this is just a funny story. And you feel bad for him. It's just a funny story. So Zion,
do you feel bad for him?
You feel bad for him in a way. It's like, dang, all your business is out there on Front Street. Now, from a moral perspective, I don't really want to get too far in that, but it's like, hey, you were doing dirt, so it's like you kind of reap what you sow. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's on that side. It's like, okay, but at the same time, it's like I don't think the whole world needs to know. And unfortunately, it looks like he put his parts in the wrong person, and they had loose lips, and they let everybody know.
Yeah, and it's not even just the fact of letting everybody know. It was beyond that. That was a nice way of putting it. I mean, she went like full on blast.
She's still going crazy. At least my cousin. My cousin told me, he texted me today. He's like, yeah, she's still going ham.
Oh, it's still happening. Okay, so live reporting now on the podcast. It's actually still happening. I didn't even know that, but yeah. But
you know what's so funny though? The tweet that would have had me most upset if I'm the New Orleans Pelicans, nothing to do with his sex life. Like, I don't care. Like, that's your business. Maybe you should try to keep it more discreet, but like, whatever, who cares? Like, you're popping, you're a millionaire in your young 20s, like, go figure.
Right.
The tweet that would have had me more concerned is the fact that she said, and I saw all these soda bottles around your room and you still can't lose weight. Yeah, like, I'm just saying stuff like that.
I didn't see that one. I didn't see that one.
Oh, yeah. She posted that one. It was like, if I was a Pelicans, I'd be like, I wouldn't look too much into it because obviously she could be lying, but I'm just kind of thinking like, so are you really trying to stay in shape? Like, I know you're injury prone, and I know when you're injured, you can't keep up your cardio, you can't exercise the same, but that doesn't mean you need to be drinking Mountain Dew all day, every day. So if I was the Pelicans, I would be a little bit kind of annoyed by that one tweet.
Well, here's the thing. With the Pelicans, well, first of all, let's address her side of it. We don't know how long ago she's referencing, to be fair. Right? Like, she could be referencing soda bottles from a year ago and stuff, and which those things were kind of already reported. So, like, the second part is, if you're the Pelicans, and we've talked about this in relation to Ja, the NBA knows everything. Like, the NBA, the Pelicans, I'm sure they already knew this stuff was happening between him and his personal life. I'm sure they know about his diet, if it's either whether it's good or bad or anything in between. Like, they know about this stuff. So I'm kind of on the side with you. It's not as much to do about nothing in the grand scheme of things. However, it's just an unfortunate situation for Zion, who's already a guy in the limelight for a lot of other reasons that have nothing to do with playing basketball. And again, this isn't the same situation as Ja stuff, right? Like, this isn't anything like suspension worthy or criminal or nothing crazy. It's just, we want to see this guy on the court. And it feels like a lot of times that we hear about him, it's about stuff that has nothing to do with him being on the court. And at least with Ja Morant, how do I put this? With Ja Morant, we never actually had to question how important basketball is to him. I think that's fair to say. Like, we know that he wants to be on the court. We know that he's going to do everything he can to be on the court. It just seems like he's got something else going on in his personal life, and he's making some poor decisions, right? I think they're dumb decisions, whatever. But we know that he wants to be on the court. The scarier thing for Zion is, I think that he really likes basketball. But I just haven't seen anything to this point that shows me that he loves the game of basketball. And he may love the game of basketball. It may just be, we don't know, we don't see it, but I'm saying it's not very obvious, right? And I'm not saying it's because he's like doing stuff with, women or anything like that. Like, that doesn't have anything to do with you loving the game of basketball. I'm more really talking about the sides of like the getting in shape and doing all the things necessary to be on the court. That's the type of stuff that is really the more concerning thing to me. And at the end of the day, like, we look back at that 2019 draft, like I sent you guys the picture. It's like, you look at the top 3 picks, and it's like, man, I got, RJ Barrett can't use his right hand, but damn, he can be on the court. You know what I mean? Like, at this point, you got that type of stuff going on. So,
man, at this point, he might be the best pick, and that's saying something.
Yeah, I mean, it's too. I think Ja's still the best pick because we've seen what he can do on the court, and he's gonna play basketball next year. Like, no matter what he gets suspended for, he's gonna play basketball. But anyway, actually, speaking of Ja, We should talk about it.
No. Before we leave Zion, I want to say one thing.
Okay.
She tweeted that he spit in her mouth. Why would you put that out there? I don't understand that one.
Well, you're saying
I just want somebody to explain it to me.
You're saying for her, why would she put it out there?
Yeah, like, hey, you got somebody, like, you got to do spit in your mouth. I mean, I don't know why he would do that, but I'm just saying, why would she even put that out there?
Well, I mean, it's just for clout. I mean, it's like, at this point, whoever she is, she's clearly probably seeking like some type of attention, right? And like that's what this stuff kind of turns into at this point. Like she's going on a rant, it gets more and more attention every time she tweets or anything like that. So you're gonna say anything wild, whether he did it or not, like whatever. That's really regardless of the point. She's gonna kind of say whatever. So
Oh, and Zion, last bit of news: you need to pick your people better, because even your baby mama, like before all this broke out, there was some other news about your baby mama.
Right.
You just need to pick smarter.
I'm gonna leave that one alone, but we'll
you need
see.
to pick smarter.
We'll see.
Because she's gonna run them bags. Trust me. Like play this 5 years from now, she's gonna run them bags.
We'll see. We'll see about that. But I want to talk about the job thing because I think there's a couple things interesting happening here. Obviously, the report is I don't know somebody saying that this may be a fake weapon. Like, are we even taking this seriously at that point?
No.
Like, because that's what I wanted to ask. Like, we don't even know.
Was it pellet gun?
Yeah, or whatever they said. We don't even know if this is coming from Ja directly, but I actually want to talk about something different with the Ja thing because we've talked about it a little bit in terms of his suspension. I'm a little concerned, Trey, with how far people think that he is going to get suspended and should be suspended. And we have people talking about a whole season, half a season. And I think I gotta be the one to reel it back a little bit. These decisions by Ja Morant, by all accounts, are pretty dumb decisions, right? However, there aren't anything criminal going on. And it does seem like it's something going on personally, but it doesn't seem like it's anything that, I understand the reaction because it's a gun. And it is dangerous, and I get all that stuff. So there should be consequences, especially since, for lack of a better term, they kind of let you off the hook the first time with the short 8-game suspension and the fake interview and all that stuff. But I mean, when I'm looking at 25, 30, half a season, I mean, that seems like a lot of games for a guy that didn't break any rules or laws. Like as much as they are dumb decisions, I understand wanting to set an example, but like, I don't think suspending a guy for half of a season is setting a good example. Like, I think we should be more delving into like why Ja is making these dumb decisions. Is something going on that's causing Ja to make dumb decisions? Or we have some people in our life that are just prone to always make dumb decisions. And I don't think they consciously are trying to do so, but that's just unfortunately a part of who they are. And I think that's the question we should be asking. We shouldn't be more concerned with like giving this guy a bunch of punishment because I don't think that's the answer.
I agree with you to a certain degree. I do see the NBA side on it in a little bit, in just the sense that, hey, listen, we all know that we kind of let you off the hook the first time. And then it wasn't even like a year later that you get in trouble for a similar incident. It was a couple months later you do the same thing. So I think it was just kind of like the NBA's looking at it like, you kind of spit in our face, like kind of despite us. So like, we're going to come down with a hammer on you. Not saying that's right or wrong with them, just saying I think that's how they feel. Now, I do think that we have to look at it in the degree that there probably is a larger issue going on that we have to try to address in order to see some changes in Ja's behavior. But we need to go ahead and address it kind of soon because he's not doing anything illegal. But, if you keep going down this path with guns and, there are reports of him flashing gang signs on the courts. And there was a report of him getting in fights a couple of times. Eventually, I guess what I'm getting at is you're going to come across the wrong person who doesn't have anything to lose. And you're either going to get in real trouble or something worse is going to happen. So I think it is something that you just have to go ahead and address now. But and maybe a long suspension. Maybe a long suspension. Maybe that's not the place that the NBA, maybe that's not something they should be doing. But you may be able to take some good out of it just to go ahead and get your life kind of in order while you're suspended for a long time.
But here's my thing. What is suspending Ja Morant a long time? How is that going to change his actions? Like, if anything, you're giving Ja Morant more time at home with now not any basketball. That just gives him more time to make dumb decisions. Like, that's just all I'm looking at. It's like, what does that give it? At least if the guy's playing basketball, that's taking up so much of a portion of the time, you don't have time to make dumb decisions. Like,
Yeah, but he's losing some money too, so you're hoping, I guess, the monetary implications can kind of tell him, like, hey, let me wake up and let me stop doing this.
Okay, sure, fine. Suspend him for a couple games. Why don't we just give him heftier fines? Like, let's just do that. Let's give him heftier fines if you want to just hit the pockets. But the suspending the guy for like half of a year, or some people are talking about a whole season, for flashing a gun on the internet, which is a stupid thing to do, but that's all it is. It's just a stupid thing to do. That seems like very extreme. And it seems like if we're just going to suspend a guy and not actually get to the root of the problem, it just feels like it's all for naught. That's the way I look at it. And I hope the NBA doesn't look at it that way. And again, this is all going off based off of the information we have. They may have more information that we don't. So
supposedly they do. Adam Silver said that they're going to cover some more information. Now, whether that be good or bad, we don't really know.
Right, exactly. So I want to be fair with that. We don't have all the information, and maybe some of that information will come out. Maybe some of it won't. Maybe that's why there's some things going on. But I mean, from all accounts, it seems like, like Adam Silver said, they're going to announce this after the finals because they don't want to draw attention to it. But they actually indirectly drew attention to it by just literally saying that statement. But okay, but all right, but I mean, from people that are close to what's going on, reporters and stuff. I mean, I don't know what you're hearing, Trey, but I'm not hearing anything less than 20, 25 games. Like, I haven't heard anything less than that. Like,
yeah, no, I haven't heard anything less than that either. Not to the extent of it, that's the kind of part where you get various reports, maybe like some say half a season, some would say 3/4, some are saying the whole season. But again,
a whole season is ridiculous. A whole season is wild.
Yeah,
that's madness.
I think that's ridiculous unless you just found out something unless they just found out something like Ja had joined a gang in Memphis. Like, it would have to be something ridiculous, which I hope isn't true.
Right, bro. Gilbert Arenas got suspended 60 games, and that was legitimate. Like, you can't bring a gun into the locker room and then like pointing guns at folks and like threatening to use it. Like, if you suspended him, that's basically a whole season. Like, now if he's getting 60 games, there is no way that Ja Morant should be getting anything close to that.
And like I say, unless they just uncover something that we just like is just like, you remember Crit, the person that Gilbert Arenas had.
Yeah, Javaris Crinton, yeah.
Yeah, you remember they found out later. I mean, this was in the court trial because he was charged with manslaughter, but they found out as soon as he joined the Lakers team that he had joined a gang in California. Not saying that I believe that's, Jaws doing anything similar like that, but I'm just saying if something like that was to be uncovered, then I could get behind a full season suspension. But it has to be something to that level. It has to be that crazy for me to get behind a full season suspension.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I just wanted to, because I know we've talked about Ja multiple times on the podcast since this has happened, but I just wanted that to be, stated because I've just heard a lot of this rhetoric, and I'm just thinking, I'm not the guy now, there were some people on the internet taking Josh out and be like, oh, they're doing him wrong. Having a gun is not illegal. All right. Well, if you say that in regard, it sounds stupid. I'm gonna be real. That sounds stupid.
I'm not saying all that.
Yeah, that's not the point of that. And that is not what I'm saying. However, I am saying, as stupid and dumb as those decisions are, and obviously things can go wrong. I just think that we may be looking too hard at what the suspension is and not what the problem is. And again, that problem, Trey, includes Ja Morant taking the social media hiatus in a very odd way.
I wasn't crazy about that either. I forgot about that. But
I don't care what anybody says, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. Where Ja posted on his Instagram story that he loves his daughter, he loves his parents, goodbye, but then says he was just taking a social media break when people went to check on him because that was an odd way to do it. I don't think Ja Morant is that unaware. Trey, I don't think he I'm speculating here, but I don't.
No, I think there's more to that story.
I just think he knew. I'm not saying I'm not going all the way with this, but what I'm saying is I think that he knew that the reaction that was going to get by phrasing those things in that way. Put it that way. Now, whether he's just doing it for attention, whether he's just doing it for a cry of help, or whatever it is, that is the stuff that needs to be addressed to me, because that is a very, very troubling thing when I'm seeing stuff like that. And then just being like, oh, I was just taking a social media break. I'm like, nah, that's not how you take a social media break, brother. That's not how we do it. That's not, you can take a social media break. You could just stop posting. You just not be on social media. Or you could do a lot of other people. You're like, hey, I'm taking a break from social media. There's a million different ways you can phrase it. But saying goodbye to everyone around you in multiple pictures seems odd considering, I mean, your daughter isn't on social media last time I checked, so I don't even, you know what I mean? Like, so that is the stuff that I'm really like more concerned and worried about, because regardless of basketball, this is like a human being at the end of the day, right? So I don't know if taking away basketball will help him. Like you said, Trey, maybe the NBA thinks so, and maybe it's based on the other information that they have. So we got a lot to see with the job. There's a lot of stuff to get into in the offseason, but, you know, we'll cover all that, and we're definitely going to keep an eye on Zion. You know, we're not going to talk about CP3 too much because that's my guy, and I don't want y'all to be disrespectful, Trey. I'm not talking about him, but I know he just got released. But we'll talk about that after the finals. But anyway, I want to thank everybody so much for joining us once again. If you like the podcast, go ahead and give us a like, a rate. All that good stuff helps us. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify, YouTube Shorts. Like Trey always brings up, you know, if you want to listen to a part of the podcast, hit the shorts, subscribe to it. We got all the content on there. And I will swing it to Trey.
Again, thank you so much for joining us, guys. We really do appreciate it. I do want to add, if anybody has to plug to any kind of Messi tickets, you know, Inter Miami, hit your boy up. Hit your boy up. I'm just saying.
Hey, I should say this real quick, Trey, because I've been to a couple of Inter Miami games over the course of a couple of years. Last time I went to an Inter Miami game, Trey, was actually, I want to say, maybe like 2 or 3 months ago. It wasn't that long ago. I went to a game on a Saturday with my dad. I think, I want to say the tickets were, I don't know, maybe like $50, something like that. Like, no, seriously. Like, now, granted, we weren't sitting like super close, so maybe it was like a little more expensive further down, but it were anywhere between like $50 and $100, put it that way, from what I look like. I actually had a friend, he used to have season tickets to Inter Miami because he's a teacher, and they gave him kind of like a discount, and they were like pretty cheap. And he actually got auto renewed the previous year by mistake, but then this year he canceled it. And I like told him, I was like, it sucks. This is the year you canceled it because you'd have been locked into the same. I think you'd have been locked into like a similar rate. No, I think they would have raised it. It's probably, but they definitely would have raised it. But anyway, Trey, I just saw in the news. I was like, I just want to see like what they talking about with the tickets. Like, I'm just curious. I just want to see, since Messi's coming down here, Trey, they got tickets for a couple grand.
Oh, like, no.
Like easily, like not even close. I mean, it's just like.
Hold it, and I don't need your plug. Never mind. Scrap that.
Like, no, I don't know. No, Trey, this is just for his first couple games. Like, everyone see him. So maybe like throughout the course of the season, like it'll get a little cheaper. But like, yeah, it definitely ain't gonna be the $50, $100 tickets anymore. Like, that's done. Those are done. So I can't wait for. We got to talk about that. But yeah, Miami's definitely popping with Messi coming down here. And at least, hey, Trey, I mean, I might have some soccer to report. I got to go to a couple games, see what's going on. I got to see Messi once. I don't know about for $2,000, but I'll try to go see. I definitely see him on TV. I'll get out. I'll see him on TV.
I see him on TV too, and I think Seattle has a team. So like, hey, maybe tickets another couple grand. Maybe I go see him. Like, I'm not paying a couple hundred either. So like, hey,
you got to pay a couple hundred for you're the greatest soccer player ever. Come on.
What that mean to me? I don't know 2 soccer players. Him, Pele. What that mean to me?
Well, you know Ronaldo. You know Ronaldo.
Oh yeah, 3.
Yeah, you know Ronaldo. But come on, you gotta. That's kind of like seeing LeBron. It's just a different sport. Like, you gotta see that guy once if you have the opportunity to. Like, you can go to Seattle. First of all, I know they said the Sounders games are probably like fire anyway, right? So
yeah, no, I've heard good things about the Sounders games. Yeah.
So yeah, you got to see them, and then like if Messi comes to town. Like, yeah, the tickets might be outrageous though, but like, I think here's what you gotta do. You gotta do your due diligence and at least check. Like, you gotta at least actually take a look in the tent.
Okay, I'm with you in that. You check. Now, if he says $300, I'm gonna check my way out of that.
Well, okay, what's the most you spend? Okay, before we get out of here, what's the most you spend on a regular soccer ticket? And then that's the most you spend on a regular soccer ticket in a game with Messi.
Okay, I say the most I would spend on a regular soccer ticket, probably like $60, $70.
Okay.
And with Messi, I would probably say like anywhere between $150 and $200.
Okay, all right, that's fair. I mean, like, I was gonna say, because the price you got to be willing to pay a little bit more if it's that guy.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just not like above 200. I'm like, listen, I'm not even a soccer fan. Like, I'm still joking, but I probably can name you 5 soccer players. That's about it. So like,
yeah.
I don't. No, I'm not. No, I know he may be the greatest ever, but yeah, that's okay.
Well, it'll be cool to see him in the States, regardless. So I mean, it's cool that soccer's getting a little bit more love, and obviously down here we got a lot of people from. It's a melting pot with all different countries and stuff. So it'll be cool, everybody kind of coming in here, to kind of watch soccer and just kind of see Messi and to see that to say that you got to see a generational guy like that would be pretty dope. So I'm hoping I get to see him for sure though. But anyway, Trey, yeah, I'll let you close it out, man. We got on a tangent. I'll let you close it out.
Oh yeah, we got a tangent, but yeah, like I said, again, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Again, if you want to check us out just in short form, check out the YouTube shorts. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, and a whole bunch of other sources. So please let us know if you want us to do anything else. But until next week, peace.
Peace.